Welcome everyone to Life Chat. I have Megan Shallow. She's the CEO of BNL Media. Nope, that's not right. Isn't it BNL Social?
That's our Instagram handle because no one likes media.
Okay, let's try again. Welcome everyone to Life Chat. Today I'm talking to my friend Megan Shallow. Megan is the CEO and founder of BNL Media Consulting out of Vancouver. I got it right this time.
You did.
So this is cool. I've been following you for the last couple years because you used to live in Kelowna where I'm based. And we actually used to serve on the same board of directors for Kelowna Women in Business. And that was, I don't know how many years ago that was, but it feels like a long time ago. Really wasn't that long ago, like maybe 5, 6
I think it was 5 years. Yeah.
So that's how we originally connected. And Megan was a social media director for the organization and truly saved the entire optics of that brand and where everything was headed online with that nonprofit organization. You were able to grow it
we got it into
fast.
The thousands. I definitely remember that. And we were just like shocked at how easy it was. But I mean, women in business.
I'm super stoked that you took some time today to sit down and chat with me about all the things we are going to be talking about. Because I think it's obviously in this day and age, marketing, social media presence, growing your brand, growing your business, being visible online, those are big topics for a lot of designers. And so many of them, like we don't know. We don't know what we're doing. And I know you're going to have tips and tricks for us to sort of implement that will help get us on the right path. We'll talk about, the power of social for interior designers, but I also want to hear from you and just kind of, find out what have you been doing? And you were in Kelowna, were you like a 1-woman, 2-woman show pretty much?
Yeah, I started off as a freelance social media manager. So I think when we connected, I was still kind of the one doing all the things. And then I had my sister doing some stuff and my roommates doing some stuff, just gathered my people who wanted a side hustle.
Your tribe.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And that was when I started to learn pretty quickly with the greatness that is Kelowna, because it's such a connected community and the population's not extremely high. That the way that I was doing social media was working because our events were growing and I was doing it with other nonprofits as well and volunteering my time to practice, and people actually came to things in real life. So that was when I knew that I had obviously a gift in doing that, just in the structure and the systems that I loved to deal with. And I scaled it up. I got contractors and such. I moved to Peachland at some point. I feel like
that's right.
I jumped, I had to leave Quib because I was living in Peachland. So it was becoming more of a dilemma to get into town all the time. And then that was when I started actually having contractors that specialized in different things. I was still definitely doing the day-to-day though, and still in the business more than anything. And then I had this weird call to go home, 2019, it was May, and my gut was just you have to leave the Okanagan. And it felt really strange to feel that way, because a lot of people don't say that once they
everyone's you have to move to the Okanagan from wherever they are, right?
Totally. And I was you have to move home, and you got to go to Coquitlam. This was what my intuition was saying. Of course, 2020 arrived, and that all started to make sense. Well, I needed to be down closer to family, just have that stability, because my business did lose 50% of our revenue because we were strong in the tourism and hospitality industry at the time. And so that was an instant budget cut, of course.
Yeah.
And so I had to rebuild. I've always wanted to work with the university, generation, I guess. I'm trying the population, the post, the ones straight out of undergrad. Lost, have
the newbies.
No idea where to go. And they definitely crave the work from home environment. So that's a bonus that BNL offers straight out of the gate. But what I found pretty quickly was they're keen to learn. And a lot of them kind of had social media experience, but not really, because they don't teach it in school. They teach like the basics of like, what's YouTube? What's Facebook? And we all know they know that. So yeah, I got to start from scratch. I have a few full-time employees that have celebrated their 2-year anniversary with BNL. And they're like full on managing the whole thing. I went to Thailand last year in November for 6 weeks, left it.
That's amazing.
And
Wow.
my email inbox is usually empty. Yeah, BNL is like, you could call it a self-managing business now. That, and as an entity, we have a leadership team, and that's kind of where I'm at now, is learning how to build a leadership team, which is so nice to not be the only one holding that energy anymore.
Yeah.
And so we've been figuring out what that looks like and trying on different systems and finally flip it back and really focus on profit over revenue and knowing my numbers inside and out, because that wasn't my game.
No, that's like so common though for like all us creatives. Like we, even the ones that are kind of like, I feel like I'm in the middle somewhere a little bit, like left brain, right brain. I feel like I can tap into the left when I need it, but there's definitely limits to how much I actually live in that world. And it's not very often, but it's so, right. It's so important, because without knowing all those things, or having, at least having support or people in your organization or that you employ to help carry that, you know, and help get you into that. How do you really grow your business if you don't understand your numbers and you don't understand the growth, or like where you do need to grow in order to meet your goals? It's like, it's a whole other world that creatives, we just kind of, we don't really go there very often.
And it doesn't get talked about too much. I mean, I'll say on social media, everyone like brags about the revenue that they've created and like how much money they've made in their company and stuff like that. But then it's like, okay, but like, where were the pieces? Like, how did you have to learn to get to that point? It's quite the journey. And of course, like, it's always a personal development piece, and not doing it alone is extremely key.
Right.
So like, I have mentorship spaces that I turn to, and like, as you build, like, you just can't or shouldn't. You could, but you shouldn't. Support people who've done it before.
What would you say, this is just sort of like random, but it all ties back into what we're going to get into, is like for new designers who are in that space where they're just like, they are alone and they haven't sort of reached out or found support systems in these other areas. Like, what would you say when you're first starting up within your first 1 to say 3 years? What's really crucial to sort of make sure you tap into to be able to sustain your mental health, sustain your growth, sustain your mindset, all those things? What was important for you that you discovered?
It was definitely delegating everything I wasn't good at, but slowly. So a lot of people like hand it all over. It's like, I hate social media. I'm just going to give it to an agency and they'll do it. And like, it never works. And I can speak from experience. When I've had clients who've come to me and they're like, I just hate it. I don't want to do it. And I'm like, well, we're going to have you involved, because your energy is not there. It's just not going to work fully. Like, help, we can do it, a lot of it, but not everything. So I delegated everything that I wasn't good at. And I'm like a visionary. I think it's the left brain that I like to hang out in, the creative brain.
That's the right.
Oh, okay.
I do know that.
Okay. I'm like, which side? Yeah. Admin like causes like my chest to get tight. And like, if I get hyper focused, it's great. But if I'm not in a hyper focused state, it's not good.
Yeah.
And systems aren't my genius either. And I like had people create systems out of like what was going on in my head. So like finding people who could like, knowing my weaknesses and then delegating accordingly was really the first thing that I did. But I started small and I started on contractors, and it was just like slow and steady rather than like building too fast.
When you say contractors, you mean like bringing in people as subcontractors for you? Because in our world, when we hear contractors, we think of the guys on the job sites building the houses, right? So just to clarify,
subcontractors to kind of do the pieces, of course, like bookkeeping, like those little like pieces, like bookkeeping can get delegated. Social media can get delegated to a certain extent, but I would say like find yourself an assistant that can kind of just like launch the things that you've created. To start, so that energy doesn't get disconnected. And then the little details that you could do, but at the end of the day, it's like, you have to. Whereas with interior designers, I know the client relationship is the most important part as well. Of course, designing and all of that comes with it. But that relationship piece, that was the last thing I could, like, giving away the client relationship piece was the last thing I did. because that was really important to me and the business that I was creating.
I haven't given that to anybody. I don't think I ever would. That's just me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love that sort of initial, like setting the tone. And honestly, like I'm pretty much a one, like I have subcontractors as well. My designers are subs, they're not employees. And they're awesome. But it's a small by design. Like I've tried sort of like growing and having a, slightly larger team. And for me, I discovered I'm just not that great at managing people. I can manage my clients, I can manage the jobs, but sort of the intricacies of running a team, and like that's just not where I lit up. And I realized pretty quickly that for me to operate at the level that I want to and take on the jobs that I want, like I haven't found the sweet spot of like having the client load, but also having the team to manage and having like the ability and just even like the desire to do both. So I scaled it down because for me, that's where I wanted to be. I just find it really hard because I love like those initial calls and like, it's a sales call. Like maybe I just love sales and I don't even know it.
You're really good at it. You're probably just a natural at sales. And a lot of people are natural at sales. They don't realize it. Like I would have never pegged myself as a salesperson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when I worked at a gym, I avoided the sales department. I was like, I don't want to make a membership sale. You deal with it.
Yeah, you're right. Like I'm think after all these years, honestly, what is today? The 15th. I was thinking about this morning. Today is technically my 20th year in business today. It's my anniversary.
That's cool. Congratulations.
Yeah. So over time, I've become more comfortable, but it works because I am the brand. I think this is where I was going with all of this, is like keeping it small. And for so long, it just sort of was me and maybe one or two other designers. So I am kind of like my brand. And when people reach out, it's because they recognize, the work that we've done, but they recognize me, the person, and that's what they want. So for me to sort of like flip it, I know that's not scalable because if you're not in your company, like they can't work with you. And then what happens, right? But at the moment that I'm in now, it's like I still enjoy that, like that's their first sort of point of contact. And, to set that up and what the expectations would be like and what the experience would be like working with us, but with me. No, I don't know if I'll ever get to a point where I want to actually give it up, but everybody's different.
And I think that's important to think about too. Like this time last year, I was like pushing 15 employees and I was like, I was not ready. And so I didn't listen, but like my nervous system was like over complicated. And then like my business decided to talk to me instead. And like clients started shifting, like we couldn't hold that many employees anymore. And so I had to do layoffs, which was terrifying, but that is like the first recession experience I've ever had. Yeah. And then it's smaller now. And that feels good to me. And I'm like, I just want to keep it like this for now. I'm good with the employee company culture size for now.
That's amazing. It's amazing that you like got to that point, right? And you can like recognize. So that happens so often for everybody. Is like you go, grow. And it's just, you're not ready, or you're just not, you thought you wanted something, but then you recognize like, maybe you don't. And a lot of people don't like internalize that and accept that and work through it. They just are like, well, I have to keep going. And then they just completely burn out or go out of business or have mental breakdowns or, like it's cool.
Run off to Thailand for 2 months
or Mexico for 3 months. Yeah, I can relate. I can relate. But it's like, it's listening to that intuition that, is the guiding principle in all of our lives. And I think so many people are so scared to tap into that intuition because they're scared of what the answer is going to be instead of leaning into it and just exploring that. That's pretty cool. Can I pick your brain now about social media for interior designers? Of course. I'm like, how do we segue? I don't know if we can segue. I just want to get right into it. I have an expert sitting in front of me right now. Why not ask all those questions? A lot of interior designers are scared to show their face and to show what they're doing. And a lot of us feel that because we don't necessarily have finished projects or like the perfect, professional photos, that we really have nothing to post or talk about. And I think that's so not true. And I would love to hear from you and your perspective. Like, my target audience, I mean, I have a broad range, but for me, it's really niching down into that 1 to 5 years of your business development and business growth. So what are things that us interior designers can do to help boost and promote our presence on social media? What should we avoid? Just tell us, be our mentor. What are we doing? And what are we doing wrong? And what can we do better?
Well, as interior designers, you're all extremely creative, talented, aesthetically driven, which can make social media feel like daunting, but at the same time, it's your greatest gift. A lot of people have a hard time finding the right aesthetics and like building out visions and using structure to also like make things beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And you all have that as designers. Like that's what you do every day for clients. And I mean, I love interior design on social media because everyone is obsessed with it. The algorithm loves it. Like anything related to design, algorithm adores.
Why is that? I'm just going to ask questions
like
as you're talking.
HGTV. Like HGTV is so popular and people just love that translating onto their feed. And like, I have a friend, she's not even an interior designer. She's actually a website designer. But she loves finding cool things and decorating pieces of her home. Nothing special, but she's just able to take a beautiful photo. And then she grew her following to like 10,000 or more. And everyone like was asking for design support. And she's like, I'm actually a web designer.
Oh, really?
Like, that's my job.
That's crazy. Wow.
So, and like she doesn't, and so fun fact, like she doesn't show her face that much. So it really is staying in your gifts and where you feel confident first. I used to be scared to show my face on social media. Like I would have described myself, and a lot of people would have described me as introverted and shy. And it took a lot for me to come on and to be on social media. But the practice was helpful. And obviously connecting to people in real life made me better at connecting on social because I was basically talking to the same people. I just imagined all my friends that I've met in real life. And
just talking to them.
And then anyone else. And they would always be my biggest cheerleaders because like we've all seen each other. So we all know what we are like in real life. So it's not that weird disconnect.
Yeah.
And then it just grew from there. I mean, I love Instagram. I would say every interior designer needs to be on Instagram. You all collaborate with other contractors and business owners to make your work come to life. So there's so many great opportunities for you as interior designers to be content creators for the brands that you work with and getting reshares or like getting cross promotion.
Right.
Like you guys are the content creators for the interior design world, basically. And people will want to partner with you if you are doing that for them, because most of them don't like doing their social media either. So
that's
like
so true.
Another incentive for working with you is like getting that cross promotion that way.
That's like that reciprocity, the law of reciprocity, right? Like people, you share me, then I feel like, oh, great. Like I'm happy to share you, and you get that extra audience on you.
Yeah. You guys are influencers for awesome brands, both local and more, like wherever you're sourcing your stuff. Like that's something that I worked with a lot of people that are business owners. And it's like, okay, how can you be a connector? Versus like, it's not about you. Like you're just the connector that you would do it in real life. If someone was like, where did you get those pillows? You would tell them. So like, these are things that you can share and cross promote. And that takes the weight off of being the entertainer. You're the connector instead. And that's something I think a lot of people, I don't like being an entertainer. I can be an educator. I love educating. And I'll do a like comic relief skit once in a while. Cause I love the comic audio, but that's it. Like, like education is where my gift is, and copywriting is my gift. And then, so it's like, where's yours? Like Crispin, you love video editing. I do.
So it's like that's like my unwinding activity is like editing video. And like seeing it all work together, and it's just so like fulfilling.
And so like that's your gift, which is very great because vertical video, of course, is like our primary like leading content piece right now. But like staying in that gift and like really focusing on it is the best way to start. And knowing that you don't have to show up, especially in the interior design industry. I do think having your face there is great. But it doesn't have to be like selfie after selfie. Like you can just like have someone take a photo of you at the end of the project or just like randomly.
There's something I'll say, like, this is just a personal observation of mine. Like the oversharing of just like selfies, not a turn on. A turn off.
Lifestyle photos only.
The constant like like, I feel like audiences are so savvy, and if your target client is on Instagram looking around, people see through that so fast and so
So quick.
easy. And it's just like surface level. It's, yeah.
Yeah. Like
And
if
that's
you're
all I'm
going
gonna
to
say about
show
that.
up, yeah, if you're going to show up, talk, or showcase your personality, the biggest thing that I have to tell every single person is like, you need to be how you are in real life. So if you can't show up on camera the way that you show up in real life, or vice versa,
Yeah.
then don't do it. Because
Right,
like
right.
I'll meet people online and then I'll meet them offline and be like, whoa, like this is a different person. Like
Right. And then
very,
that level of trust that they thought they were establishing with you is completely diminished, because of that authenticity is not there.
yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
people can see it. So if you're not confident yet, then if you're not confident on camera yet, my biggest recommendation is to get out into the world and start getting confident in real life. And if you're super confident on camera, then
Good for
that's
you.
great.
Yeah.
But get out in the real world anyway. And
Yeah.
it's always like take the online and bring it offline because that's where the magic happens. I mean, Kristen, I'm sure you've met many people randomly throughout your days being in real life and
Mhm.
they've turned into great referrals or great clients.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so online is just a piece and it
Mhm.
helps move people offline, which is,
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay. If we're sticking sort of into like, I know social is like so big and
so
broad and
broad.
there's so many channels. Let's just maybe focus on, say, Instagram, because I
Let's
feel
do
like that's where I have more fun hanging out there. And I feel like,
it.
it's not, it's more still like, I know reels and everything are very important, but it's still sort of like the picture book and like your portfolio. It's easier to kind of do that kind of thing. Tell us a bit about, like content. What kind of content should we be posting? How frequent? Like, I know there's algorithms and that changes all the time. So I don't expect to like dive into that, but just kind of what are some things we should be doing right now in terms of Instagram?
Yeah. So I usually recommend from a business perspective, play with all the options, a balance of reels, carousels, and static posts, because they all hit the journey of someone in a different way. Like reels are used to get new eyes on your content because reels do show up and they just get more views more frequently
Oh,
from new
do
followers.
they? Like
Yeah.
it'll push it out to new
It'll push it out
eyes
to new eyes. Yeah,
versus
exactly.
like a static post. So reels are good to kind of like gain new audience members.
Exactly.
Okay,
Gain
cool
new
to know. I didn't know
followers
that.
through reels, and interior design reels just do well. So
What about, okay, while we're talking about, I'm just going to totally interrupt you here
good.
because I think of these questions. It's like, okay, with reels, what's the whole rule about like the 6 to 7 seconds or like short reels, long reels? Does it matter? What's the whole thing with reels?
I don't know if long or short is necessary, but it's good to have a balance of all. It's the same with copywriting. It's good to have short, medium, and long
Mm,
types of copy because you just don't know what kind of learners are hanging out.
okay.
Maybe people love reading, maybe people love watching. Like, are they the YouTubers or are they like the Twitter feed scrollers? Like where are we meeting these people?
Mhm.
Um,
So it's
but
not like the algorithm recognizes like seven. I don't know. I thought I read somewhere once, like a couple months ago, is like 7 seconds max with this audio, and like it'll pick it up and it's trending it because it's only 7 seconds. But do we really truly need to care that much about that stuff?
trending audios are great. They still prove to get more lift off than like an audio that's not trending. Uh,
Hmm.
but
The
those
length
are
doesn't really
short
matter.
versions.
Okay.
No, like the trending audios usually will be short. You'll find they'll be 7 to 10 seconds long. Sometimes it's annoying, but sometimes it's great because you can just quickly make one and bam, you're done. Uh,
Hmm.
but with the longer ones, like you can create that yourself. Usually the longer ones, I would say focus on educational and
Okay.
people watch. If they're learning something, they'll watch it, put
Yeah.
captions on there. So if their sound's not on, they're still getting the download. And that's like your longer format is usually an educational pillar.
Hmm.
Whereas like your shorter ones, they're brand awareness forward. And
Hmm.
so that's just where you can kind of navigate all of those versions and use them to your advantage. But there was a time where people were pumping out reels like crazy, but reels take 4 times as long to create than a post, like
Hmm.
from a like manpower perspective.
Hmm.
So that's why I always recommend like balance and
The
slowly
mix.
scale up from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So find what's sustainable and do that, and then slowly add on or build a team around you to help you add on.
Hmm.
Reels gets you new eyes. The static posts are really from the people that are checking out to see if you're legit. So they've probably already hit your website. they've done your LinkedIn scroll, like they've creeped you as much as possible. Now they're going to go to your Instagram and learn about the projects that you've worked on and your approach to the business and like your approach to working with clients. And so there's a deeper dive. It's like online dating, you match with them, you find them on the app,
you creep them out. Yeah.
you creep them out. And then you decide to send them a DM, AKA like book a consult. So you really just need to cover your bases there and have a feed that feels like you. And when you look at it, you're happy with it. And you're like, feels like the vibe that I want.
That's okay. It's good that you say that, because that was sort of like in the back of my mind is like, you hear a lot of agencies or people talk about like your social isn't for you. It's for your target client, your ideal client. Like I get that. But for me, like I am my brand, and like there's so many of us that are sort of like the solopreneur, or just a small boutique firm, and we're not this like mega corporation brand. It is so personal. So for me, it's like I feel I'm picky. I'm super picky about what I want to put out there, and I want to like it. Like if I don't feel like, like that hits good with me, I don't feel like it's going to resonate that well as well with like potential clients either. So if you're like, I guess what I'm asking is like, where's the balance between, targeting your target client, but also doing things that like lands good with you and feels good with you because you are your brand?
That's a great question. Cause I'm like, it's like in my head, I'm like,
a big question.
This is why I didn't like marketing agencies. Cause they would like take the soul out of the company. And I'm like, this looks so bland. This is terrible. And I've seen this over and over again. Like people will delegate out to agencies and you land on the feed and you're like, what is this? And so the key for us is always the client needs to feel connected to it first. And then naturally it'll just become a magnet. So, because if you're not happy with the social, you're not proud of it, which means you're also not proud of like the brand that's showing up online. So like how are you supposed to attract everyone? And so that's how you want to feel when you're landing on your feed. So you have to love it first and you have to feel inspired by it first. And then it will just naturally become a magnet.
Okay, good. And we'll just keep doing that, because I always just sort of, I get the whole, like, yes, you have to like, market and target, the people that you want to be working with and that want to, you want to draw in. But I feel like there's there's a line there that for me anyways, at the level that I'm at, I'm just like, but I'm still just going to do some things that I feel good about and that I want to, and like, it's just part of the blend.
I mean, the perspective can shift in that, like, if I produce and show the amazing work that I've done and like my knowledge and all of that, then it will just attract the aligned people that are meant for me.
Right.
And you don't have to try to pigeonhole these people into boxes, because we're all so different. And even your clients, I'm sure you have like different buckets of clients and like different.
They're like, I'm like, thank God, because I'd be so bored if every single client was the same, every single project. No, they're characters and they're all different. And it just, that's what my brain, I'm pretty sure I have ADHD, and I'm not knocking that at all. I'm just discovering it now as a 42-year-old woman. But I think like my brain needs those hits of like inspiration and fun and challenge to keep me motivated. Otherwise, it's very boring doing the same kind of processes and things over and over again. So I can only imagine then, like, clients would want to see variety and a smattering of, unexpected, and not just like, everything just so targeted for that target client. I'm like, but really, is it? So thank you for confirming that. I know everyone has their own opinion, but I like yours. So we're going to go with that. Can you tell me about hashtags? I'm just going to keep going because I have so many questions. What's the rule right now about, like, it was 30 and you had to like geotag some, you had to have like your keywords. What are we doing when it comes to hashtags?
We don't really know. Like, all I know is the rule is like Instagram gave us a max of 30 hashtags to use, and Instagram is a computer, not a person. So their rule of thumb is like, you only get 30, and these hashtags work like file folders where you're plugging in your content into these file folders, and then people can find that. Like, you get 30. It's a computer system. Use them. On Reels, we have started to play with the rule of like less hashtag bundles on Reels. So we're playing with like 6 to 7 and keeping it super SEO driven. So that's where we've like created our hashtag boundary, I guess, is like, we'll put less on Instagram Reels but they'll be super targeted. So like whether it's like social media coach, social media marketing, and then but for our actual posts, we're putting them into the buckets, and we're using all 30, and we're making sure we have, if we're location driven, which we are, we have some location hashtags in there. And usually it's either Vancouver or the Okanagan, because that's kind of our two hubs. And then we'll do like some broader ones and just focus on social media and marketing. And if it's specific, like if it's about UGC creators, then we'll play with that. And that has just allowed us to grow our following in a few different areas. And people keep saying they keep finding us. And I've had a few people find us through hashtags, like actually be like, I was searching the hashtags and I found you guys, I want to chat. So what if we didn't use all 30 and that hashtag that they were looking at just didn't show up, you know? So that's my opinion on hashtags.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like it because we don't know. And then you're like, you use, it's so sad because there's so much information out there, and it's like half of it will tell you don't, half of it will tell you do. So what's benefiting us and what is like really not? And it's just hard to know. And then it changes, right? If algorithms change and updates change, and you have to kind of figure it all out from there every time.
Exactly.
Gaining followers and growing followers. What are things that we can be doing to boost our audience and gain more followers, like organically? Because my next question is about the not organic way. And I want to, I wrote it down here, and I'm not gonna miss this one because it's a good one. So first of all, what can we do to grow our audience and gain more followers on Instagram?
Okay. So you got like 3 different avenues. One is like through pushing out content. So, and that's leveraging a bunch of different platforms to build that. I mean, YouTube and TikTok help drive Instagram followers. So if you do get onto those platforms, usually people are going to jump over to your Instagram as well. It doesn't happen on LinkedIn. Like if you find someone on LinkedIn, usually people don't go try to find them on Instagram. Whereas with YouTube and TikTok, that usually is the case.
Because it's a creative hub. And whereas LinkedIn's like more business and more corporate.
Yeah, LinkedIn's like, it just hangs out on its own. It's like, it doesn't integrate with anyone. Like it's its own entity, and it has its place, but it's not as fun for the creatives for sure. And so that piece is like the creating content. Of course, like the more content you push out, like the more growth you can have, but at the same time, like never do it to the expense of your own health and business growth, because followers does not equal more revenue.
It doesn't. It totally doesn't.
It absolutely does not. I have had multi-million-dollar companies have like 200 followers on social media. Like it's not, and I've
doesn't equal engagement or conversion at all.
It does not. And I have met influencers who have 200,000 followers and make no money doing anything. So they want to figure out how to monetize their following.
Yeah.
So really it's just it's a vanity metric for sure. But I always like, that's why like I have a psych degree. So I'm always like thinking about people and human behavior first, marketing like second. And it's like people follow people that they've met before pretty quickly, because Instagram has turned into this like new virtual business card. So like when you meet someone, by the way, this also happens in the dating world. I am recently out of the dating world, but I spent a lot of time in it, about 7 years. So when you so in the dating world, and for those watching that are in the dating world, you're going to totally get this. You meet someone on the app. So, and then you add them to Instagram, you follow them on Instagram for a bit, and then you have DM conversations. No one gives a phone number until the first date. And then you give them your phone number after you've actually met in real life. The opposite is kind of happening with business. It's like you meet people at these networking events or at these like educational events and stuff. And people are like, oh, like, what's your Instagram? Like, that's how like people are meeting.
I stopped, I only got business cards made up again because it was more vanity, that I'm like, I haven't done them for like 5 years and I have this cool idea and like, it's not going to cost me a lot. I'll just get some cards made, like 50.
Yeah.
But for the last however many years, everyone's like, you go to things and you're like, do you have a card? I'm like, no, are you on Instagram? Here, what's your handle? I'll follow you right now. That's the new business card.
You get them into your funnel. Like you've gotten them into your funnel and they're going to follow you and see how cool you are as a human online.
Oh, that's funny.
How much knowledge you have. And then they're going to send you a DM and be like, hey. So it's like the complete opposite of like online dating, but also it's the same. Like it's just the way that these things are happening. So that's another avenue to grow your following, is like get in front of people in real life and start asking for their Instagram and build those connections online.
Mhm.
And then the next one is outbound engagement. So that's like, when you're wanting to just like insert some energy and connection, but you also want to chill on your couch. And so
Mhm.
going into the magnifying glass of Instagram and seeing like where you want to go engage. Like if you want to grow more interior design connections, then you can engage with the interior design hashtags. If you want to be more well-known in your community at a local level, you can engage with like the local hashtags or the local like geo tags, the places section that you'll see, and you can engage with those people and you'll get new followers that way too. So
Okay.
that's your 3 different avenues. Low intensity is outbound engagement because you can do it while watching Netflix and you don't have to do anything other than like or comment. And then higher, like more intense connections or like more output is required for creative
Mhm.
content and also going out into the real world and putting your
Mhm.
outfits on and talking to people,
Can
so
you like,
different ways.
yeah, and then sort of like that outbound engagement. Can you just give us some parameters around like what's great and authentic and what's kind of like gross? Because I'll just give an example as like you get a new follower or you follow somebody and like within like 20 minutes or within that, the first 24 hours, you get the, hey, thanks for the follow. And then they're giving you like the, hey, like, are you looking to grow your blah, blah, blah? And like, they're giving you the sales pitch. And I like, honestly, the ones that do that are, you can tell it's not like a bot, like it's an actual business. I just go and unfollow because I'm just like, you broke the rule of trust and I'm not cool with that. And I'm like, I take it back. Like, I don't have any patience for that. And I think it's the principle. So what's the rule of thumb in terms of like, you follow someone or an account and then you want to like, you realize you could actually help them or you have a service that might benefit them. What's the best way to sort of, authentically approach that so it doesn't come across as like, ew, and then unfollow?
I think it is so interesting because of course, like, I see people doing this. I'm like, well, maybe we'll like experiment and see if it works. And I think for some businesses it might. I mean, I don't see where, but I'm sure it does. Like the more frequent you do it, you're bound to get someone.
Yeah.
But my best experiences have been like follow them, engage with their stuff, follow their social media, like or like their stories, like be authentically like I actually just feel called to know this person. I don't know why, but I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
need to know this person.
Mm-hmm.
And normally you'll start to see like them come back and start watching you as well if like
Right.
when paths cross in real life, we know when we're meant to like stay connected and when we're not.
Mm-hmm.
Same with social media. It's like the right people will start to be like, oh, actually, yeah, this girl seems cool. Like, let me engage with her stuff. And then if you feel called, I would actually do a voice memo instead.
Oh, really?
Because then that gets your vibe. And then it's like, oh, like I love
Yeah.
her voice. Okay. And this is
And they took the time to not just like send me this automated send out, like it's actually a
totally.
personalized little, oh, that's
Yeah.
really smart.
And this again was inspired by the way that online dating apps have adjusted. So now on online dating apps, you can actually put your voice in and you can send voice messages because
That's
people get a
cool.
vibe off someone's voice. Like, if someone's creepy, stranger danger or not based on their voice.
Do you though? Do
Yes.
you? Okay.
Since that app, like as that
Maybe.
like became more, evolved and the voice thing started coming out, the less weird dates I ended up going on because I could get
Okay.
the vibe from their voice. And it's just so interesting because it's the same concept that's happening on social media and how people are building relationships on social. So it's not
The voice
romantic
memo.
relationships, it's still business relationships. Yeah. Because and I see
I'm
people
gonna try that.
do it with like a text underneath being like, I just felt called to like reach out or like, just so you don't creep them out. But
Right.
I think a voice memo really just it builds the connection and then you open it up for opportunities. So you don't like try to pitch them on the voice memo. It's more like, hey, like I'd love to connect and just like see what you're doing in business or see if there's an opportunity for us to like help, like whatever like comes out of your mouth,
I'm
basically.
here. I'm here when you
Yeah,
need me. And I just like felt
exactly.
compelled to call you or reach out and okay, cool. That's like
Yeah.
that is a new one for me. Like I've heard some of these other things, I just maybe haven't tried them. But this one I feel like, yes, especially for me with the mentor side of things, and it's a very one-to-one with all the new designers. And like it's so quick and fast. Like you'll get DMs on Instagram and you kind of like, thank you so much, and that's great. Or like they have questions and I'm like, I have to get back to them. Like a voice memo would be so quick
A
and
voice memo
easy,
is
but
really
great.
powerful. It creates connection instantly
Okay.
because people love a vibe. And
Golden nugget voice memo
yeah,
on Instagram, guys. There you go.
follow the rules of online dating.
Yeah.
And I'm so fascinated how like watching all these tools change and add things in order to help people build better relationships. And the voice memo piece, it's been added on the Instagram DMs. It's of course in our Apple iPhones now, like people send those all the time. Like I said, once I saw it on the dating apps, I'm like, ooh, this is really something. Like there must be research somewhere around this.
Okay, so I know we've been going for about an hour, maybe more, an hour and a half. So I think we're going to start to wrap it up. We can do a 2.0 sometime, because I know I'll have questions after this airs, and then, people will be like, but what about this? I just would love to quickly touch on, for me, when I first started out, it looked like everyone was doing the big, bad, awesome. It looked like everyone had their shit together, and I was struggling. And that's that whole social comparison, blah, icky stuff, right? And it's like, it wasn't until much later on I discovered the power of perspective, and that, it is not like, what people put out, the shiny, perfect, glossy, beautiful Instagram feeds, TikTok, whatever they're showing the day in the life of. They're only showing you the great and amazing things. They're not showing you like the full on reality of what's happening. And once I learned and understood that the hindsight and like the perspective, power of perspective, it literally just kind of took that pressure off to be all the things in my mind that I thought I should be, and just accepting where I am at, and realizing like, just because so-and-so over here looks like they've got it all together, you learn either through the grapevines or through connections and networks that no, it's not all rosy and beautiful and perfect and, $1 million every month. It gave me some perspective, and it allowed me just to sort of like accept where I was. So in the connection to Instagram, when I was asking about followers, and, you hit on it where you said there's some influencers that have like 200,000, but they're making zero money. I don't know, maybe we don't, this is a weird question, but like, how can you tell? How can you tell what's authentic, who's got like the audience that they say they have? And then how can you tell where followers are bought and paid for, or just to give us some of that perspective? I feel like it's important to somehow bring in there that, you can tell, like I can tell now knowing the things that I know, but I want you to tell us what that is, and just to kind of give us that perspective so we don't feel so pressured and be like, okay, we're good where we're at. We're growing. We'll just keep going.
Yeah. The answer
that makes sense. I don't know. That was weird.
Yeah, no, I totally get it, because I've been there too. And I always go to their reels, because you can't hide that. And then I can gauge pretty quickly if that company has like high engagement overall, or if they've just, lucked out in getting a few viral videos, but the rest are not. So it means the thing that happens for like viral videos is sometimes you'll get a bunch of followers that aren't actually ideal. So, but you'll get a bunch of them. So the number gets higher. Great. But like when you go to someone's reels, like, you can even experiment with like the Kelowna influencers, for example. A lot of them have like lots of, like a following, but then when you actually look at their reels, they get the same engagement that like I get. And I'm like, So, and that's like, we work with UGC creators all the time, and we work with influencers as well. So that's like the first thing we go to is like, okay, do they actually get high engagement? Are they getting comments on their stuff? Like what's going on there? And the reels is a full on, like, you can't hide those views. So if they have 200,000 followers, but they're only getting like 3,000 to 5,000 on their reels, they don't actually have that high of a following. Usually if you have 200,000 followers, all of their videos should be hitting over like 10K at least.
And what about static posts, like in terms of like likes and then commenting and engagement on those posts?
I think it's the comments is where you can really see. They sometimes show numbers, but sometimes they don't. So usually like you can, if they have over even 10,000 followers, but they're only getting 30 likes on a photo, it's like, if you can click into their likes and scroll down within a second, and like you clearly can tell there's less than 100 people liking this, then their following isn't as high as they say it is. It's all on the data, and I do it all the time, because like I'll have my staff be like, oh, I love what these guys are doing, and then I look and I'm like, okay, well, it looks like they're successful, but like actually their engagement's the same as BNL. So yeah,
there you go. And then you can kind of like take a breath and realize, wait a sec, it's, stay in your social lane. It's so much of it is smoke and mirrors, and it's like Instagram, and that like that panic to like have that audience and have those like, thousands of followers. It's like, it's not super relevant to a lot of us at the level that we're at. And, it's like, yeah, it would be nice. It's a vanity metric, really. That's like the word I was looking for. And so that perspective, once I learned that, I was like, oh, wait a second. Okay. Everything's fine.
Sometimes like and it's very like, it's very niche specific. So like a boutique that sells women's clothing can grow a following exponentially quickly because people love following boutiques to shop. Whereas like social media, like we get a lot of B2B. So we have a lot of business owners, but they're all so busy that they don't actually scroll that much. So like they don't like things all the time. So like we grow our audience, but like we don't actually have a highly engaged one because everyone's so busy.
Yeah. Everyone's making money.
Yeah, everyone's out making money. A lot of entrepreneurs don't actually sit and scroll as much as like, like your average gal that's just like wanting to shop. Like it's just a very different.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Same with interior design. It's like, do you want to be like HGTV and like, do you want to attract that following? Like, are they actually going to make you more money, or do you actually want to make more B2B connections? Like, what is your goal there? And like, who do you want to connect with?
Yeah.
So like we have had boutiques and they grow so fast with just a few boosts, like of their reels, they can grow a following so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It really is just
depends, right?
It depends.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's what's a client worth for you too. So
right.
Very interesting.
Well, I want to keep talking, but I have to edit this, and we're at like an hour and a half. That's a lot of editing.
It's a lot. It's a lot of
But editing. I think this like leaves us a big window of things that we can, if you're open to it, I'd love to have you come back at some point and we can kind of pick up and do some more targeted, specifics. So can you tell everyone where we can find you and what, are you accepting new clients? Do you work with the interior design industry? And, if they're not like a big, firm, can we work with you?
Yeah. So there's two avenues to work within like BNL. With me specifically is the Social Media Academy. So it's a 12-week like intensive program to teach you how to do what I did with BNL, and then also learn how to build a team to support you as you continue to scale. Because after those 12 weeks, you're going to see results and you're going to start to want to build what I did. Not have a social media marketing agency, but have a team around you to support you with things. And so that's like the work with me, small group intensive programs. And those happen January, June, and September. So we have one coming up that's starting September 20th. And then my team does social media marketing, management, strategy building, and also email marketing, blogging, like all the content pieces, basically helping you communicate with your community. So, and they've helped me, and now they help all our clients, and they hold space for our clients too. So those are the two different avenues that you can come work with BNL.
What's your website and what's your Instagram?
Oh yeah.
Where can we find you on social, Megan?
www.bnlmediaconsulting.com is our website. And then social media, of course, BNL Social is kind of where we are hanging out right now.
This was amazing. I know that, online and social is like, that's the big scary world for so many people. So we've touched on a lot of great little nuggets. I love the voice memo. Like maybe not today. That's a little too soon. I need to strategize, but next week I'm going to do a couple of those because I think that's gold. I honestly, no one does that. As soon as you said that, I'm like, oh, I'm doing that. I'm so doing that.
It's so in alignment with how you would do things in real life.
It is.
Yeah. You just have a great voice.
So thank you. I appreciate this. I hope you have a really, really great weekend. And I'm just going to keep following and seeing all the things happening on Instagram for you. And we'll be in touch because I know that there's probably an avenue for us to sort of collaborate on things for Design Life Inc. Because I don't know everything. I don't know very much actually. So I could use your services. Absolutely.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Right.
Well, thanks, friend. It's good to talk to you and good to see you. So I have a great weekend and we'll talk again.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.